I'm excited to hear all about this wonderful career you're enjoying.
Yeah, thank you. I'm in the middle of it, actually, though I have been working for rather many years now, but I like it very much, and I'm a passionate musician in music. I love music. That's why I'm playing and still love it so much.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear you say that you're in the middle of it. There's so much more yet to come. Take us back to the beginning, to where it all started from you, and let's work towards where we are today.
Yeah, it started. My parents met at the musical high school in Stockholm. My father was studying violin, and my mother became a piano teacher, but she also did some solo concerts. But when I grew up, she had piano lessons in our home, but everything was classical music, and I thought it was I couldn't enjoy the classical music as much as I do now. Appreciate it very much today, but at that time I didn't understand it, actually.
Yeah.
Not until I heard Elvis' Heartbreak Hotel.
That's the one that did it.
Yeah, it started the whole thing for me, 1956. And the year after that, 1957, I was in school, and I was making woods. I had
in woodwork
what's
class.
it called? Woodwork class, yeah. And I did a lot of things. And one day I looked into the teacher room, and he had a big acoustic guitar hanging on the wall. So I asked him, I would like to make one like that. He'd ask me, can you make it? Do you think you can do that? Yes, I think you have to buy all material yourself, and you have to go to extra lessons to. And I said, everything, I want to do it. I was 12 years old.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it took me 1 year to build it, and I did some mistakes and started all over again. But I could actually build a real acoustic guitar, and that's how we started.
Amazing. So you could actually play on that guitar once it was finished.
Yeah.
You could use it.
Absolutely. And I bought a chord book, and I since my mother was a piano teacher, she taught me the music, how to read a little bit, how the music was,
to notate it, yeah.
Notated, yeah.
And do you still have that guitar today?
I should have it somewhere, but I don't know exactly. I have a picture of it, which I could send you.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
What a dedication and commitment you showed to music at such a young age.
Yeah, I love, and I noticed immediately, this is my instrument. I felt I had the feeling for playing, but just after a year or so, I noticed I have to. I can't hear myself so much. How do I do it? You have to buy an electric guitar, and then the whole thing started with the electric guitar.
I'm sorry. Did your parents support you in this?
In the very beginning, they thought, "Oh, Janne has a hobby. It's nice." But after a while, they noticed I was passionate. It's a passion, and I had to go leave home in secret, because they didn't want me. They want me to do my lessons in school, but I went out playing instead. So my father came when I played in a concert close to my home. He came in through the audience up to the stage and told me, "Janne, you stop this, and you have to go home and do your lessons in front of the audience."
Oh no!
In the middle of a concert. And that was that had the effect of that was it had opposite effect on me, because if it's forbidden, it must be very interesting to do it. So it was it's opened up a new world for me, actually.
Amazing. That's
So,
incredible. Well, you must have been really embarrassed, though.
Yeah, I was but ashamed, actually, and the guys who I played with, they said, "What's happening, Janne? Even today, I got a mail from a guy who was there, and he couldn't believe it really happened, but it did, actually."
How old were you at the time?
13, 14 years
Wow.
old. You can imagine how the feeling today is another way of when you're young kids, the parents always support you, but at that they didn't support me at all. They wanted me to get rid of, and they didn't like the music. So I had to fight for my own. And that maybe it's that feeling. I still have the feeling, because sometimes I think they underrate me. Even today they do, because since I'm not singing, I just play guitar. They say, "Oh, he's just a musician. We have to. It's more important to do vocals." And but I always like to get the recognition for the musician and for the electric guitar. It's for me, it's very important. Yeah.
How come you never added your own vocals?
I don't sing so well. I can sing, because I write music for vocals and for singers, but they sing so much better than I do, so I leave it to them. But I can. I've written a lot of music for vocals and for choir and so on. So I know how, and I can sing it, but I don't sing well enough. I don't think so.
Bob Dylan didn't sing very well either.
Yeah, but I think when you get somebody who really can sing, it's much better to let them do it. I can fix the guitar, and I can make the songs, and I can make the arrangement and all that. I think you should do what you're best on.
Yeah.
And
I understand.
that's my idea.
Well, you played with several different pop bands through the 60s. There was one that had some kind of success called the Sleepstones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about them.
I had done some small. I played with some other bands before that, but my mother and father wanted me to study and to play with a band who had made school in front of music. So they were, from the beginning, we were all students in school and playing just in the weekends and so on. But and we were but that was nice. That band was nice, because we put the music in front. There were a lot of bands in the 60s who were teenage idols. We had a couple of Swedish band, Ola and Janglish, Tages and Hounds, and who were very good looking, but we didn't. We let the music speak. So we were not that 100% popular, but I made my examination 1966, and I went on 4 years in the university studying economics and a lot of other things, not music. But
your parents must have been very happy then.
Yeah, for a little while. For a little while, they were happy.
Janne, it wasn't long until you met members of the band Abba. Of course, they hadn't formed into Abba yet. Share the story around meeting them.
Yeah, it's when I started as a session musician. I started that 1970. I know exactly that year, and because I've been playing around a little bit, but all studying at the university. But from 1970, I got so many recordings that I was really a session guy, and I had met Benny Andersson when he played with the Hep Stars. And at the university, I met Björn Ulvaeus. He was studying economics as I did.
Mm.
And then I had working a little bit for Polar Music, Polar, Stickan Andersson, and formed his record company, Polar. And Björn and Benny were hired by Stickan to be producers, to find young, talented Swedish young guys. And they found two guys, one called Harpo, and the other one was Ted Gärdestad. And they said, we can't do two guys. We call Ben Palmers. He's another producer. He will take care of Harpo, and we take care of Ted Gärdestad. And they called me, and I went up to the office of Polar, and Ted was sitting there. He was 15 years old. His music was fantastic. He was so nice and beautiful songs, and he was charismatic, actually. And when Benny asked me, "What do you think, Janne?" I said, "He's terrific. He's fantastic. Then you join us and you re-record with him." "Yeah, of course. Do you know a drummer?" "Yeah." I said, "I play with a guy called Ola Brunkert." "Yeah." "And do you know a bass player, Mike Watson, English guy living in Sweden?" And then we started recording. 1971, we started recording Ted Gärdestad's first album. And when he had done his vocals, they said we need a choir. We called the girls. It was Agnetha and Anni-Frid, and they made a choir behind Ted Gärdestad. And we worked in the studio Metronome, where Michael B. Treto was working. He was an engineer. And Ted Gärdestad's first album was released this year, exactly 50 years ago, 1972, it was released. But before it was released, we got everybody who was playing on Ted's first album, we got a call from Björn and Ben and said, we have made a tune on our own, People Need Love. Do you want to play on it? Yes. And the 29th of March this year, it's exactly on the day, 50 years, we started to do People Need Love, which was the first real Abba tune, I think. So, and then it went on like that. And I was working a lot with Ted Gärdestad. We became very close friends. And then I worked with Abba. And we tried so many things in the studio. And it was a fantastic time, very creative and very nice feelings.
Wow. So you were really there before Abba was Abba, and in some way
Yes.
responsible for bringing the four of them together.
Yeah, I can't say I was responsible for that. I always, when I do my concerts, I said it was because of we had played with Ted Gärdestad, and Björn and Benny produced Ted Gärdestad. The first four albums with Ted Gärdestad, Björn and Benny produced it, and Anni-Frid and Agnetha were made the choir behind it, and we were the same guys playing on Abba's record that played on Ted Gärdestad's record. So it was like a small wrecking crew, in Sweden. We were the same guys playing on Ted Gärdestad and on Abba, but it was a little different music. Abba was more pop. From the very beginning, I don't think they exactly knew what they were going to be, but it developed by the time.
So were you upset that you missed out in being the core of Abba, that it was only the four of them?
No, I think, Björn and Benny was doing Benny mostly. He had made the songs, but when we recorded, they was nothing written. Benny played it on piano, and we sat down and wrote the chords down, and then we played it for a while and said, "Do somebody have some ideas of an introduction or something? How should we play that?" And we worked it out in the studio from the very beginning, in the first album and the second album, and a little bit on the third album. But after that, Benny was more into, he had made up his musical mind, and then he knew exactly in which direction the music should go on. So, but the first two albums we were like jamming in the studio until we finally got the music together.
And what did you think about the music? How was that for your ear?
Abba music, the Abba tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice music. It was always very creative, and in that time, in the beginning of the 70s, there were the other recordings I made was written music and with the arrangers, and I had to read scores and so. But there was some other. I mean, one day you could have written music and have to read music, and it was very well arranged. But sometimes also there were very free time, and I was involved in a recording with Nash, an American vocalist. He was supposed to write music for a Swedish movie. And when he realized, oh, this is good session musicians, we were doing demos for his new album. And then suddenly he had met a composer, and he brought him to Sweden to teach us to play new music. And the new music was reggae, and the guy was Bob Marley.
Wow.
So I worked with Bob Marley in the studio for creating a song for Johnny Nash. So it was that, and we had no, it was the same type of recordings. We sat down and wrote the lyrics down, and we formed the arrangement with the musicians. I've always been what's it called? I've always liked to create music. And so that's what I liked very much, to play with Abba, because you always could come with some good musical ideas so I can bring some, not just the playing exactly from, you have to play exactly this thing
so
on these tunes.
You were allowed the creativity to create spontaneously.
Yes. Yeah, that's I like that very much. And it was the same with Teddy Andersson. I worked with Teddy Andersson up to his very last album, because he died 1997, and I finished producing his last album actually, and then he didn't. He committed suicide 1997. It was a big disaster. But in Sweden, Teddy Andersson is huge. I mean, his music is so. Everybody, when they have TV program and we have 2 TV program, Allsång på Skansen. It was everybody is about 1-2 million viewers, and then on Monday and Tuesday, and they let the audience sing along. So you sing along songs, and at almost every time they sing a Teddy Andersson song. Everybody knows his song.
Which was his most popular song?
Almost all songs. It's Satellite. I helped him arrange in that. And Jag ska fånga en ängel. Sol, vind och vatten. Sun, wind and water.
Okay.
So many. He has a lot of hits in Sweden. And he sings in Swedish. Yeah.
Right. Janne, which was the song that you worked with Bob Marley for Johnny Nash on? Which was the song that you worked together with Bob Marley?
Stir It Up.
Ah, okay.
We did that with Johnny Nash, but he has, many of the songs are not very well known, but Stir It Up was the one I think is most well known.
Right.
And he wrote.
Sorry, go on.
He was living in a house. They rented a house in 1971, and in that house, Bob Marley wrote all the songs which he recorded 1972 in London, Catch a Fire. So he had written those tunes in Stockholm 1971 in a basement in a house.
What was he like? How would you describe him?
He was very shy. He didn't say very much. He was very he didn't say so much, and he just told me how to play. Janne, take it easy, laid back, Janne, don't push it. It was very nice.
Was he already stoned all the time?
No, nobody knew him at all. It was before.
Ah.
So after that, after a couple of years, I noticed, oh, this was a huge musician, and I like his music very much. I like it. And it was nice to have met him, and you got some influences which I took along to some of the Abba tunes, sitting in a palm tree. If you notice the introduction, I came with that idea. You know that tune.
Yeah.
That was inspired by Bob Marley. It's a little reggae.
Amazing. Was he smoking marijuana all the time already
a
in
lot.
those years?
Yeah, the studio was full of smoke, but I never smoked, so I didn't took part in that side. I just concentrated on the music, but it was a lot of smoking. Yeah,
and that's obviously why he was so laid back.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you learn to be more laid back from him?
Yeah, I think I learned a little bit of that playing with him. Yeah, it was. I mean, there was also a piano player, John Rabbit Bandrick, and he after the session we did with Johnny Nash, he went to London and he played for 27 years with the Who. So he was a very, very good piano player. So I had, for many years, I had contact with him, but I lost it now. So he doesn't play with the Who any longer, but he did for 27 years. Yes.
Wow, amazing. Through the 70s, you kept working with Abba. You appear on many of their songs, don't you? And in particular, the song Waterloo, which won the European Song Contest.
Yeah.
Did you help write those as well, those songs?
I can't, not the song, but maybe I had some small ideas in the arrangement but I had nothing to do with the songs. I haven't written any songs, but some small parts in the arrangement that everybody was working like that at that time. It was how you worked at that time.
Yeah, it sounds a good way to work. No one leader of the band, but everybody collaborating with the next musician.
Yeah, so I like that very much, and it was always very creative, and it was very, and I like that way of working to be very cautious. And so in 1973 I started my own first solo album. I recorded that 1973, and that went to number. It was the most selling record for 6 weeks in Sweden. So I sold those 6 weeks. I sold more than Teddy Andersson and Abba for 6 weeks. But that will never happen anyway, any more time. But that was nice, and I was a little surprised that that was not a very commercial record. It was fusion music. I mean, little experimental, instrumental also. No, it wasn't just one blues. A guy, Slim Notini, he sang a blues. Have You Ever Loved a Woman? It's an old blues song, but the rest of the music is instrumental.
Which is it's incredible because the instrumental doesn't usually rise to the top of the charts.
No, except for The Shadows. Tornadoes in the 60s there, because I had listened to The Shadows very much, but I was more into what's it called? I always written instrumental music, but also vocal music. So, but at that time, my third album I recorded, my first album was recorded 73, the second one 74, and then I went over to CBS and recorded 75, recorded an album called Catharsis, and that was released in the States. And I had a fantastic review in Rolling Stone. So they came over to managers from CBS came over and listened to me live, and they said, well, do you want to record in Hollywood? Yeah, of course.
Why not?
So why not? So I did, first I made a concert in Montreux with the CBS All Stars, which included on drums Billy Cobham, on bass Alfonso Johnson from Weather Report, guitar Eric Gale, Steve Kahn, who played with the Steely Dan, and Stan Getz on saxophone, Dexter Gordon on saxophone, Maynard Ferguson trumpet, George Duke keyboard, Bob James keyboard. Bob James was the conductor of the whole thing. And after that, they told me, how do you want to make record in, how do you want to record in Hollywood? It was 76, 77. And I chose a producer called Bruce Botnick. And Bruce Botnick had produced The Doors before. So he was the Doors producer. And then they asked me, which musicians do we want to have? And I had met a Swedish guy called Björn Ison Lind. Is a genius in music. He has studied 10 years in the musical high school, and he was a flute player, and he was fantastic. And I said, Björn Ison Lind has to come along. Yeah. And do you have any other musicians? I don't know. Look at your albums at home. And I had an album with the American guitarist Les Dudek, and I liked that album very much. He was playing with the Allman Brothers, and I said that drummer is fantastic. What's his name? I should look, and I said, oh, his name is Jeff Porcaro. Oh, you have a very good taste, because he's the most hired musician in Hollywood now. Okay. So when we came over to Hollywood, I met Jeff Porcaro, and I said, we need a bass player. Oh, we can take my brother, Mike. Okay. And we need a percussionist. We can take my father, Joe Porcaro.
The Porcaro brothers were actually with Toto, weren't they?
Yeah, and then also Steve Porcaro is playing on my album. And then Jeff Porcaro said, well, it was fantastic to play with those guys. They were so great musicians. And then one day, Jeff Porcaro told me and Björn, come to me. We have formed a band. Come to our rehearsal studio. And we went there, and he played a song. What's the name? Hold the first tune, the favorite. Do. I forgot the name of it. Yeah, but and then he said, we like a group in Europe. Aha, which one? Abba. It's fantastic. 4 letters and 2 are the same. A-B-B-A. Everybody remembers that. That's why we call ourselves Toto.
Ah, how interesting.
Yeah.
Who knew that? So what was, when you did that album in 1977 with all of those incredible musicians, can you name your favorite song from that we could let our audience hear?
Yeah. It's one tune. Yeah, you can play Happy Feet. That's Jeff Porcaro on drums, Mike Porcaro on bass, Steve Porcaro on keyboard, and their father, Joe Porcaro. And the tune is Happy Feet. I like that.
Well, we'll certainly do that. Janne Schaffer, your career just went on and on from there, because there was you wrote a musical that was played in Sweden. You've done a biography, My Life as Schaffer, which was released in 2012. You released 3 albums in 2017. You've been so busy. You've played on something like 5,000 song titles. 300 to 400 of those are your own productions. You've recorded 27 of your own records, 4 studio albums, 6 compilation albums. You've launched a textbook for guitar students. You've worked with people like Phil Collins and Tina Turner, Neil Sedaka, Todd Rundgren. Amazing. And you've found the time also to do music for children.
Yeah, that's maybe one of the most famous groups we have, but it's not a real group. I work with a Swedish artist. He's a painter. He makes movies, the most popular movies in Sweden. I think he's one of the most famous persons in Sweden. His name is Lasse Åberg, and when I said he formed a group called Electric Banana Band, but that's an artistic performance. It's not a real band. And he writes the lyrics and I write the music. And we played on Sweden Rock for 2014 or something like that, and for 32,000 people. It was fantastic. And we're still working. We did 4 concerts this summer, and it's fantastic. And he also made movies. I've written the score for 3 of his movies, and we're working on. We had a musical at Malmö Opera,
Wow.
and we're working. Our subject now is to save the climate, to save the earth. We involve that in the lyrics, and we write music from the beginning. It was for kids, but today it's for the whole family. So everybody likes it because it's always with a lot of humor, but the subject underwards under it is a little serious. So but I think with humor you can
get the message across.
Yes.
Can you give us an example? Tell me one song that I should play from that.
We done one in English, but all lyrics are in Swedish. But one is in Swedish Banankontakt, and it's in English UFB, unidentified flying banana. But also we did on the last movie he made, where he wrote some English lyrics, and it's a tune called Mountain High, which is should be from the 60s, and since I played them in the 60s, it's a new song, but sounds like it's from the 60s.
It's true, isn't it, that everything old is new again? The whole sound of the 60s is coming back one more time, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Beatles get back, and Stones are going around. And it's strange, but I also like it. I also like it very much.
Yeah. Well, Janne Schaffer, I must let you go. Our time is nearly up. I'm very grateful to you for your time that you've spent with us here. Maybe you'll come out on tour and bring your incredible music to us in English here in Australia.
I hope so very much. I've never been to Australia, actually. And I'm longing to come over and see Australia. It would be fantastic.
We would love to have you here.
Yeah, I've heard so much about Australia.
In the meantime, we'll keep following your career, because undoubtedly there's so much more to come from you. You're almost just getting started.
Yeah, I hope so. I will keep going, keep on a couple of more years. I hope so.
Only a couple more years?
We'll see. 4, 5, 6, 7. You never know. as long as I'm healthy, I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah,
it's so nice. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for your music, Janne Schaffer. Thank you so much for joining us on A Breath of Fresh Air. A pleasure to meet you.